Hello everyone and welcome to Mercurial Gems. I'm Jen.
I'm Vi.
And today we are continuing our Pluto series that we have absolutely just loved as a rabbit hole of information, and our pattern recognizing just continues on as we do this series. So today we are going to be talking about Pluto Sagittarius, which really feels intertwined with our Pluto Scorpio generation that Vi and I are a part of. So we in particularly were so excited to get into Pluto Sag. We lived some of this reality like in a very personal way, unlike some of the other Pluto series we've talked about where we've had to kind of look through the lens of history. So this one has been really fun. We will kind of go over some of the energetic undertones of Sagittarius as we've been doing within the Pluto series. We're going to discuss some of the history that, happened as Pluto is moving through Sagittarius. And then we have an interview with the lovely Markee, who is just kind of giving the lived felt experience of the Pluto Sagittarius. You can speak to some of the Sagittarius undertones. We have a pretty strong Sagittarius right here anyway. As always with the Pluto, just before you give the Sagittarius details, like Pluto always adds an intensity layer. So Pluto is the planet that represents like death and rebirth. It represents just like a lot of cataclysmic change. It's where things really are shadowy in our birth chart, where things can feel heavier. And to hold the intensity of Pluto, you have to learn how to hold an inner tension of kind of the shadow and then the higher meaning. And it will definitely show you some of the shadow archetypes of all of the planets. So pull up your birth chart as always, see where you have Pluto. And if you know Pluto Sagittarius, the date frame was 1996 to 2008 that Pluto moved through Sag most recently. And then in previous history, it wasn't before, it was 1748 to 1762. So we're only doing the nearest history for this initial round, and then we'll probably keep digging.
Sagittarius, you ready for this one?
Yeah.
Sagittarius are the truth speakers and the wisdom seekers of the zodiac.
I thought you were going to make a pun.
I mean, it kind of is like a kitschy rhyme that I felt like it was really Sag funny. Maybe it wasn't a pun, but I was sticking to the point.
Word game.
Wordplay. Sagittarius is very tied to the planet Jupiter, which is the largest planet in our solar system. Knowledge seeking. I think they like to speak truth. They really don't do lying. And they're very expansive. And with Jupiter being the largest planet in the solar system, if you took every single planet, there would still be room inside of Jupiter for more things. Just to give you a good example of how big that planetary feeling is, because that is exactly how Sagittarius energy feels, is like when you think you've reached the edge, there's actually just more along that edge, and you're like, whoa, you can keep going. It feels endless. And I think with that, Sagittarius does tend to skip nuance, because the bigger picture, you can't zoom in that far when you are bigger than the earth itself.
Yeah. Yeah, there is definitely just always kind of this general optimism, because there's always another angle and perspective. In all of these Pluto videos, we've talked about implementing some of the sister sign energy. And for Sagittarius that likes to zoom out so much and continue to find philosophy and new angles to take and forever learning.
Very ninth house core.
Yeah. The Gemini energy wants to funnel it in. It wants to take things in by just learning, but then spitting it out. So it's a lot of intake then outtake. Sagittarius has to experience by doing. So Gemini's alchemy that Sagittarius energy needs is to make sure that you're communicating, you're speaking words, you're putting some of your thoughts out so that there's some transmission of some of that bigger energy. And it helps you kind of zoom in onto the reality that's happening a little bit more. I mean, Gemini and Sag are not necessarily in reality, but it helps you to plug into what's going on and maybe comment on stuff a little bit more within the context of our reality, instead of maybe always the higher meaning all the time.
Which really speaks to the fire and air element of it, because Gemini is air, so there's the communication, the zoom in, the finer details, whereas the fire, you said it, they learn by doing. There's an action element to it that, like, without that doing, without that embodiment, you can really tell that Sagittarius in general will have a hard time verbalizing it without that experience. You've watched me.
You say it all the time. I don't know how I know this.
I just do.
But it's just there. And I think when they actually have to verbalize, it's a different channel, but
it is holding the Sagittarius energy because you have Jupiter on your ascendant. It's just in Virgo. So you have some Sag to your sense of self. But with my Sag Jupiter, it's very, I feel like I have to, like, backtrack all that I know and like take a course and figure out how you use the words to say it. Whereas, like, you learned in a more textbook way, which is Virgoan, is why I bring it around, because, like, I admire you so much as someone with, like, such aggressive, like, Sag, because the way you are able to verbalize things, I'm like, I have to, like, go take a 6-month course and really sit with the energy for 6 months before, and know as I'm sitting with the energy and doing it that I'm going to have to reverbalize, because there's things I've done for years, but I've never had to explain my process. And then as soon as there's that explanation of the process, I'm like, do I even know what I'm doing?
You guys, this comes out, though, like, so much more intuitively and, like, when it's needed, like, it's way more evoked. But I can totally see with Pluto Sagittarius, like, that stuck fire can be overwhelming. It needs to come out, but you don't always realize that it doesn't have to come out in a perfect way. It just, you guys will show up when it really matters in the right way, and that speaks to itself a lot. But I can see the alchemy. Pluto Sagittarius as a generation I've like witnessed within them is a lot of really eliminating of binaries. So we have come so far. There's just spectrums really for everything. Like, having these extremes of anything with gender and sexuality, and, like, there should just be so much more choice because the spectrums are actually so much broader. And I think Sagittarius just owns the fact that, like, I don't need to be boxed in. I see a little of the Pluto undertone of, like, you know, I'm scared to feel trapped and I want ultimate freedom. I think it throws other generations off, like, how open-minded, like, Sagittarius just moves. But Sagittarius isn't a concept. You can't take all that Jupiter energy and funnel it in, but they have really helped us expand on just the fluidity of everything.
And the verbiage for it. It's actually kind of ironic as you're explaining it, because they're the ones that have brought us terms that, like, before them we just felt we didn't know what it is.
True.
And now they're giving terminology to these things, but then they're also so resistant to labels, which is just kind of funny that you're, like, bringing so much wisdom to everyone else, and then we're like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm this, but then they're like, oh no, you don't have to choose anything.
They're like, oh, you must be non-binary, oh, you must be, like, gender fluid, and then also they're changing every other day.
Absolutely.
Like, I love
a
it.
Spectrum.
But that's how it should be.
A star being source of just, we're all stardust.
Yeah.
Energy.
Right. It's been, like, a huge theme. I also think that with Pluto Sagittarius, we also saw a huge rise of spirituality. And this has gone with any outer planet that has moved through Sagittarius. Like, it's definitely a theme, but I think, you know, tarot cards are just, like, found in the basic stores. Like, it's just crazy how much access we have to spiritual tools and how normalized it is, and just, like,
even having, like, 2 or 3 witch shops in a town is wild. When growing up, like, if you knew a witch shop, it probably was, like, one in, like, a 50-mile radius. Maybe even more.
Everything got so much more normalized in the spiritual, so much spiritual expansion. And a lot of that was due to the internet and just, like, being able to talk about a lot of different belief systems, and also getting an idea of what other cultures had experienced and what worked for other cultures and other civilizations, like, all around the world, like, taking in that info.
Cultural understanding.
Yeah, and to understand like, okay, there's a lot more than just what my my town, my neighborhood, my state, my country, like my part of the world like knows. Like it's way deeper than that.
I am a speck on a rock floating in space because I am Jupiter.
Some other themes, so authenticity and truth. Like I love the expression of Sagittarius. I think that they are really beautiful truth seekers and really are always trying to find truth to things, and they hold an authenticity in just that they're not going to repress down their feelings towards something. So if something isn't working for them, they will quit, they will move, they will find another way to move the energy. And I really appreciate that. I think, you know, there is not been groups that have played off of that fluidity and they're like, it's just something I have to do. Sagittarius doesn't subscribe to something you have to do. Like who came up with I have to do that?
Freedom of expression. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
truly.
And so that's led to a huge change in participation in the system as a whole, and like also creating kind of entrepreneurial pursuits to accommodate for a lack of freedom within our structure system, which has been beautiful to watch, like all the creative content creation and building businesses in different ways. Like it's been really cool to watch and collaborate even with. I definitely see the Sagittarius deflection and joke and humor side. So if you know someone with a strong Sag placement, they usually do deflect with humor a lot. They make a lot of jokes all the time.
That just means they understand the deeper meaning. I don't think as strong Sag I've ever been serious in an important moment in my life, my whole life. And there is a part of me that hates it, but there's also a part of me that like I can't get through it if I don't deflect. Thank you.
Yeah. And so I definitely like think for how heavy the news has been in our real time. The like memes that have come out of it, the content creation is so funny. Like about the darkest stuff sometimes, and I honestly like it has made me like cry laughing. Like I think they are absolutely hilarious. I also like love this layer of it just being like on kind of the online space. I don't know how much it can carry over in person as much for Pluto Sag. Like I do think it's really fun to kind of just be in this alternate reality with Pluto Sag and watch our like just angle of like what you see in like the real world and then the online space having this whole other take, and just interesting dualities there. Started with Pluto Scorpio, but there has been such a deconstruction process from religion, and I think Pluto Sag, like I said already, the spiritual stuff has been so like kind of in like normalized, I guess is the better word, like in their day-to-day, but like we've really moved past some of the religion crutches that were like really built, at least in the US, and I've seen a lot of Pluto Sag like living that out a lot more than previous groups had. And I do think that has been kind of a collaborative efforts of Pluto Scorpio with Pluto Sag.
Yeah, I think a really big thing with Sagittarius is, and maybe this is just all mutable because I know I hold a lot of mutability in my chart, but once I know something, I can't unknow it. And so like to have the information at their fingertips and see what they see, and then have someone in like this part of reality, the more grounded part of the reality, be like, no, that's not true. Like Sag just doesn't let it go. Like we know it's in there. Yeah.
And they already know the truth. Like you can't
lie to me because I know what I know now.
Yeah. And I really appreciate that about Sagittarius, not just going with what is prescribed. This goes into kind of the more like lived experience, but I can see the Pluto Sagittarius undertones so loudly in the fact that we just went through a global pandemic, and that happened in, towards the end of Pluto Capricorn, but this is when Pluto Sagittarius was going into their college years.
It was their first bit of adulthood.
And yeah, Sagittarius rules higher education. So of course it's so Pluto to have a huge cataclysmic break in being able to actually go through the education like system into adulthood. And I don't think, like, it's just really wild to think about the interruption to which that caused in like so much of their structure system, and how it blocked their almost freedom into adulthood to go normal, which feels very Pluto undertone. So that was something that really came to mind as I was simmering on Pluto Sagittarius.
As you're saying that, like a visual came to my brain, because we all know Sagittarius has that like bow and arrow, and like that was like, because like they did like step into adulthood, which would be like the placing, I'm not an archer, but like placing the arrow on the bow. And right in that moment where they think they're just going to launch forward, there was this pullback, because a lot of them still had to like move back in with mom and dad and stuff, you know, like they didn't have established careers or even really rent at that point. So then they like were stunted. But then as the pandemic ended, you know, they were launched back out there like, all right, bud, you're an adult, go do it. But they were just launched into it. So now it's just interesting to think about in that visual aspect as you were talking, is like what came into my brain.
Yeah. And so talking through the timeline of 1995 to 2008. So there's obviously lots of historical occurrence, lots of other planets have play, but a few things that kind of stood out to me historically within the time frame of that Pluto Sag was almost right away Toy Story premiered, which I feel like it was just like,
definitely had Pluto Sag in a chokehold.
yeah, and it's just like I just feel like it had like a lot of
they went on adventures. It was a little weird. It was like funny, but like also, you know, you learned a lot along the way.
Yeah, because the movies before like that Disney were putting out were very like princess like core and just kind of this whole other story. I feel like
there's always a romantic love interest, and then Sag is like, what if we just went and saw the world with all of our friends and figured it out?
It's just like it felt like it kind of broke the script of like a new chapter. I also just laughed because I wrote Dolly the sheep became the first cloned mammal. That was just like the weirdest news, like that was on the timeline in my research, and that felt weird and Sagittarius to me. So I wrote that down. There was also like a lot of release of games,
DVDs got on the screen, the like mainstream. We moved away from VHS at that point.
I remember when VHS stopped being said. Like, I feel like that was probably around that time. That's like an itch in my brain. And then like PlayStation 2 comes out. We also see Steve Jobs create the first Mac. We had Facebook come out, Twitter come out within this time frame, Netflix launched, like so many of the things that became organized.
Well, and gave us more access to more information, to more knowledge. Is like a big one. In 1998, Pokemon became a thing, and that one's wild to me just because I know how popular it still is, like it's withstanding the test of time, but it's literally an entire show about these kids having this rite of passage journey where you go out and like, of course they're like little monsters or whatever, but it's really like you're exploring the world and finding like all these little animal creatures along the way and how they interact with each environment. It's just very Sagittarian.
I wasn't allowed to watch it personally.
It went deep in our house.
Because there was like some magic involved and I was in an evangelical Christian household. But I also want to say though, to Pokemon, and like you were way more in this world, so you might be able to speak to this more, but we actually started having normalized TV shows that were coming from other cultures. Because I
was kind of the first.
Yeah, I had not even been exposed to something that wasn't like white American culture before. I like remember Pokemon like had all this other like, that was like a mind-blowing thing for me because I just remember it held like a different anime, not being from like the origins of US like stuff, like really was mind-blowing.
Okay, cool. So you're not fully off the mark. So Pokemon isn't technically an anime, but it was one of the first more anime-like things that came out that then helped normalize anime in a way that like, I really don't think without Pokemon, like the other things that were pre-established long before it could really truly run
into the US, like
that normalized like Dragon Ball Z, which I know you definitely couldn't have watched. I also had a giggle at like you can't watch Pokemon because it's not it's not really magic at all. So it's like so funny that your parents took it that way.
Yeah. It's completely uncultured.
Obscure as hell. But yeah, you're so right. And then even then, like another very like, again, Sagittarius thing about the whole premise of that show is like each generation you get like a new realm of the world of Pokemon, and then you get this new layer of like environmental choices and the Pokemon, the like fauna and flora that you find across the way. It's just it's always constantly, it's a never ending expanding thing. Like there doesn't ever have to be an end to this entire franchise. And the fact that it came out like or not even peak, but it was just like a couple years into Pluto Sag is really interesting to me.
And we also had SpongeBob come out in 1999.
Which is also just like weird and funny as hell.
And jokes, yeah, which I also wasn't allowed to watch.
So unserious. It really plays into the Sagittarius unserious side of things.
Yeah. And so I think there was just this like huge burst of like using these new tools like in a creative way, which really got started there. Like it created a whole new era of using tech to share creativity, share stories, communicate with each other. You can see this in other planets going into Sagittarius, but like it was way more visual with Sagittarius that we actually started like almost experiencing, that's a good word, like actually experiencing other cultures because of then having the resource of like camera, being able to do like videos and upload them. Like it led to even an additional layer than other recent Sag planets. Like I'm thinking of like Neptune moving through Sagittarius that like actually really deepened our cultural understanding.
No, you're so right. Up until this moment, which is, so Pluto Sagittarius for us was our formative years. Yeah. It's like where we got to experience, and I'm going to be honest, like I don't think I have a lot of memory that's really crystal clear from this, but I will say like this had I had Pluto on my first house my entire until 2008. I understand myself a lot better now. Now that I'm processing what you're saying, actually. But you're so right, because like Google came out in the very same moment Pluto moved into Sagittarius. So until then, like a like wide world view was like I traveled 40 minutes outside of my hometown, and like that seemed like an adventure, and that seems like nothing now.
Yeah, and movies and stuff like kind of started getting like diversity. I watched it. Yeah, it had more diversity, but we also started having like YouTube, and so you started learning from other people sharing and teaching something versus like some of the limits of movies holding more biases. You could like then determine the route of perspective based on what you wanted to search,
even which is like in your community. Like I think about like you being a sheltered evangelical kid, you're only interacting with other sheltered evangelical kids, but then you watch this YouTube video,
right? No, it saved my life. I was like taking in like these, I mean, I graduated in 2010, so in 2008 I would have been like a sophomore in high school, and like I was taking in information in any way I could and going like, oh my God, nothing around me is accurate to anything. Like it was a huge mind-blowing time. Like I was reading so many books. I was trying to get as many things from other cultures as I could, because I was like, oh my gosh, like I have got to figure out what I believe. Like there is so much more that I am like missing, and it was wild. And I just remember it holding like just a lot of weight.
I think of like my own lived experience between this time. This is really fun that we've actually experienced this.
Yeah.
Like this adds like a whole new layer to the series. But from like, birth to 2008, like I tell you all the time, the like much deeper, very Plutonian, like experience of, I was exposed to a ton of different cultures that were not my own. So like I'm very particular, and like I know a lot of magic, but I'm very careful about what I share and what is of my culture, because just because I know it doesn't mean it's like mine to give. But like that would be the main chunk of me hanging out with my Florida swamp witches. And like, yeah, I have a step parent who's Hispanic, so I was like raised in a culture that was like much more first generational, like Hispanic culture. And then like about 2008 when it shifted into Capricorn is when like, yeah, I guess like all of that stopped being as potent. It shifted into Capricorn. All of a sudden I was having to look at like, oh, because in 2008 I was getting out of 8th grade, going into freshman year of high school. So now all of a sudden it's like I felt like I really stopped being a kid at that point, and I was like, I really have to figure out what I'm doing with my future. So it's just really funny to hold time with.
Yeah, you can ponder on this time frame, and like I would love to hear like some lived experience stuff that came up for you. The one thing before we like show our interview and get into that is one other nuance in this is we have, you know, Pluto Scorpio to Pluto Gemini. That's some of the alchemy. But Pluto Virgo, if you are Pluto Virgo or family members are Pluto Virgo, they are connected to Pluto Sagittarius in a big way. And obviously when Pluto goes into Pisces, that'll be like, you know, even more of the alchemy. But there is a deep connection point. We've seen it a lot. So if you haven't watched the Pluto Virgo episode, it's really interesting to see some of the tie-ins between Pluto Virgo to Pluto Sag. And so I just want to throw that out there from an aspect standpoint. That's the square to Pluto Virgo is Pluto Sagittarius. And yeah, with that, let's check out this interview. So tell us your name and like where Pluto and Sag is for you. And then you get to be our representation and interview for just talking out some Pluto Sag energy.
My name is Markee. I have Pluto Sagittarius in the 3rd house in whole sign, 2nd house in Placidus.
Cool. Yeah, and we first off, like I feel like as Pluto Scorpio, we really absolutely are obsessed with Pluto Sagittarius. You guys are like helping like brighten our world, and I think what we've created as a generational combo on the internet has been nothing short of just like golds. But you guys add a really fun flair to this whole other reality that we kind of live online as well as in person, but especially just like getting to interact with you guys, like, and your light, just ability to turn something like very ironically funny. It takes the darkness of our Pluto Scorpio that feels like there's no way out, and has definitely like been like a nice guiding light for us. So I feel like we look up to Pluto Sag a lot.
Yeah, right. That makes sense. I look up to you guys a lot. You're Pluto Scorpio. You guys set the tone for us.
Yeah, well, we're burning it down, and then you guys are like finally adding some like sparkle back. That
you're like the light that's still left in the world. Is how you guys feel to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so tell us kind of what you've observed just like growing up, or just like how you feel and identify with like your generational kind of themes, like how it feels like just living in that energy as a collective group.
We're so unserious. Very comical. A lot of the stuff that comes up in my life really surrounds authority in a way. Like my generation doesn't accept authority simply because it exists. We really want to know like the moral foundation of like why it even exists. I was a why kid, but I think that speaks to the entire generation. We ask questions.
Yeah.
We don't accept things, and a lot of my lived experience is around those themes, specifically around like religion, growing up in a religious household. I never took anything and just believed it. I questioned every single thing, and it's gotten me to where I'm at. I've deconstructed religion. I think a lot of us have. We're really passionate about it.
Yeah.
Like we're not like passionately religious or like passionately political, but we're like really passionate on our stances towards those things.
It's intentional. It holds like a very philosophical, like you guys are like wanting to continue to ponder. It feels like existence and meaning, and it's always an
Yeah.
undertone.
Yeah, I think that the transformation of meaning or belief systems is the biggest theme. We never could have done it without you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
guys,
we
you guys
revealed a lot of how ugly it was. We just didn't know what to
so
do with
much.
it.
Yeah, I see you guys transmuting that though, like really differently than Pluto Scorpio can even process, if we're being honest.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of other generations look at our generation and they see us as lazy, unwilling to comply, maybe even entitled in a way. And they see our generation as just extremely destructive. They haven't seen Aquarius Pluto yet. Sagittarius Pluto is like, now that we know the information, we're taking better aim. Just trying to figure out the direction to go based off the new information that we have, because all of the other structures that have been built for us was before your guys' generation, before you uncovered so much about psychology, trauma, power and corruption, everything. So now that we know that information, we were actually like born with that information already on the table. Like that's already our reality and it's not for everyone else. And so I think that, what do I think? It's like a rebranding, if you will.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
redirection.
curious because we talked about a little bit in the Pluto Scorpio video that like the internet kind of birthed itself within our generation.
Mm-hmm.
But your like, when do you remember like, I guess, do you remember a time without technology? Like how, I don't know where you land on the Pluto Sagittarius scale.
Yeah, what did it feel like to you growing up? Like,
Yeah.
It's really interesting. Only for a brief moment do I remember no technology, like computers and stuff. But I do remember like the first time we got a TV and a desktop computer, and that was really interesting. I was fascinated by it. It didn't have as much of a hold on me as it does now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
How old were you when that happened?
dude, I was probably like 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not very old. I grew up with so much like gaming and stuff in my household, so it became a very normal thing very fast. My dad and my brother were both really into video games, and so it just kind of stayed in the household for a while.
And by the time you started going in through school, like our crew was like even my sister being 3 years younger is a pretty late degree Pluto Scorpio. Like V and my sister are like right on the cusp of it shifting, but we didn't even have computers built into our education system yet. So then that like was always there for you guys, right? Like pretty much, yeah. So it was a quick change, like between the two. Like it would have just been kind of already integrated into your education system. So,
well, my bridge to all of that too is to speak to your original point, which is that like you came into the world with a baseline of knowledge that a lot of the generations that Jen and I have talked to that have kind of already like lived through the learning of that us as Pluto Scorpio feel like so much has changed since like birth to now. But like for you guys being so young at that same frame, you guys also had like so much information at your fingertips by the time you were at a formative stage to like consume
Yeah.
information. None of us before that had that. Like we got it in like middle school, like late middle school, high school.
But not the prime years to like suck up information. So you guys are like on a whole other information level than what, like it's funny what gets it's not funny, but like the projections onto you guys is so absurd because it's just lacking a lot of.
I don't see you guys as like, this is what we were talking about in the beginning too. Like we look to you guys with such admiration because I don't see you guys as lazy. Like, I see you guys as you see the system for what it is. You're refusing to play by that system because by refusing, you're also demanding change in a way that's different from how all of the other generations have had to like more boots on the ground demand change.
And just on a whole other level of consciousness.
But I also can see how all of the generation and even the earlier degree Pluto Scorpios probably say it too, like those the like older millennials, because like they probably were at least all in their 20s before any of this came out. So they had like 20 years of a life that is quite literally obsolete.
Expansion is definitely like a theme here with knowledge and stuff. I have thoughts about this, about like how much information we've taken in versus the last generations before us. You know how Sagittarius is very big picture. It skips over nuance and detail and stuff. I think because we've had to absorb so much information, we've had to kind of like compartmentalize and categorize things into like bigger picture meanings. And that's the only way that we can really hold on to so much information at a time, is by organizing it like that. Something I noticed though with our generation is that because we're such big picture thinkers and we categorize things in so many boxes with like very little detail and nuance, one of our biggest shadows is describing things in like sweeping moral terms, I think. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because we're like on the search for meaning and stuff. We assign meaning to every single thing. And I think we get caught up really easily in over assigning meaning to certain things. For example, if we meet someone who has a particular political vote, we automatically assign them characteristics and morals and stuff that we attribute to that vote. And we completely just jump over all of the little details that like make people, I guess. It's definitely helpful for some things. Like we have great pattern recognition. I think a lot of us mistake pattern recognition for absolutes at times.
And I think that's an archetype of Sag, is that like know-it-all shadow that can come in. And Pluto really shows us the shadows of each of the archetypes, and it's like more harsh degree. And what we've talked about a lot in this Pluto series, which is like, you couldn't have said it better, the languaging for it, but we've talked a lot about like Jeff Green astrology logic of looking at the sister sign integration to pull some of the shadow away from overabundance of Pluto. And so for Sag, the only way that it doesn't get toxically existential and zoom out is the nuance of conversation and talking it out and actually asking questions that go beyond a zoomed out category. Gemini will detail it with a lot more. Let's get to the details. Let's hear how you actually like what you've taken in, what you then know, instead of just like a overarching theme.
Gemini, I feel like, loves nuance.
Yeah. And so I do see how Pluto Sag needs that Gemini and to talk. And I think that is one of observation. I'd love to hear your angle of feeling into it. But one of the shadows I can perceive off of Pluto Sag, like there is definitely an anxiety level that exists because I think Gemini outputs, Sag does not output. And like without you guys outputting and talking more, the information's there, but then the anxiety level of like having to put it into words, Sag does not know how it knows stuff already, and Pluto has not helped that. So like I can tell that you guys, I think technology has pulled, you've had more like time to ponder and more time to like sit with a concept, and Gemini doesn't sit like pause, it just spits it out. So for you guys, like the output is your alchemy, but I can also tell that using words in conversation when you guys hadn't had as much of the social skill because technology was like a bumper where that kind of like lands. But I'd love to hear how that feels to you.
Yeah, I think that speaks to truth. I agree. I think the difference between Gemini output and Sagittarius output would be more action oriented with Sagittarius. But if we're like stunted in action in any way, it's there's a lot of that anxiety, just like pent up information and feeling and lots of stuff. If we have no direction to go, it can get really difficult.
Yeah. It also makes me think like all of what we're talking about makes me think about the fact that like you guys have always had texting or email or Facebook comments, you know what I mean? Like there was still, I remember like learning to use the phone, like, because I'm a Sag rising with Jupiter on my ascendant. So I really feel the Sag energy of you guys, I think is why I love you. You bring out something in me that I like. You guys didn't have to learn how to do a pizza order on the phone and feel that like weird embarrassment of it. Like you guys just like go online and order it online. And like, my anxious soul loves the fact that we've evolved to be these people, like self-checkout. I love it. I love not having to look at another person and make some weird small talk. Like it's amazing. But like I also like did have to develop a little bit more because like just we didn't have that for probably like 15 years of our lives.
Right. And it sucks, like learning how to put things into words and have it be messy. So I can only add the nuance.
Like nice with like all the texting is like you get to pause and I mean, you can impulsively send if you want, but for those of us who are more anxious and especially want to sound like we know what we're talking about, you can reread and edit and fix it and then post it at its like perfection versus
that's great.
I can't promise what like word vomit's going to come out of my mouth if I just in the moment.
That's a really good point. That encapsulates a lot of the Sagittarius because I'm a Sagittarius Mercury too. And that's how I operate. I couldn't imagine operate like I asked Jenn for notes for this interview because I needed to start thinking about stuff. That's so funny to me.
What do you remember? Like tell just like some stories from like school and technology, just like integration stuff. Like how did it feel like going through like teen years when like the complexes maybe started kind of building around?
Like when was your first social media profile?
You know, that's so funny. My first social media profile, I mean, it was a Facebook, but it was also a secret Facebook because I wasn't allowed to have social media for a long time. My birthday on Facebook still says like 1995 or something.
Hilarious.
It was Facebook. Me and a couple friends for a while just using the platform to message each other. And it wasn't, I mean, again, like we were born with a lot of this stuff. So it was just like a normal thing, I guess. But I had heard of MySpace and stuff too. That came before us. Never got into it, but I heard good things. I grew up watching TV, like cable, since I was little. It was great. It was just one of those like box television. I remember the first time we got like a flat screen TV. That was insane. I taught myself a lot of, obviously I had to. My parents weren't geniuses in this area. But
and you guys had YouTube too. Like when do you remember YouTube? Because you guys could learn a lot off of that.
I learned so much from YouTube. But I used to just use it for music a lot of the time because I grew up pretty sheltered, I'd say.
Yeah.
And the only music I knew up until that point was like gospel music. And then I started finding like Carrie Underwood and Michael Jackson. And it broadened my horizons quite a bit. I didn't get a phone until I think it was like eighth grade or something. I got like a flip phone. And then I remember the iPhones dropping. Everyone had iPhones. I ended up getting an iPod. It was always pretty normal though. Like it didn't seem so shocking.
It wasn't like coming out. You just were like, okay, and now I'm at the age to get a phone.
Yeah.
Pluto Capricorn
Weird.
is going to be so interesting, like following you guys, because that was when you guys had it more integrated than we did, but I don't think the rules, like there was still like kind of an expectation of like, don't give this to them until like a certain age. I think that kind of went out the window for Pluto Capricorn.
Oh, it definitely
So
did.
they're definitely
Especially
another anomaly.
Any of the post 2020 kids are like notorious iPad kids because like what else do you do with a toddler inside for 6 months?
Yeah, it's fascinating, the bridge between
it's a big nosedive. I mean, honestly, just hearing you talk like feels like I feel ancient all of a sudden. Like truly a dinosaur. I am at the very edge. I like a couple months and I would have been a new generation. So like even being at the very end of Pluto Scorpio, like there's still certain, like you're saying we're like super casual. And I remember them being like, oh my gosh, you have one of those? Like not because like, oh, your parents like you, but like, wow, like a cell phone.
The other thing I can imagine, which you can speak to this, like it could be maybe slightly outside your window, but you guys definitely, I imagine it has to be very strange too, to have the internet blueprint of like your cringier, like learning formative years. Like being more public is a fascinating concept too, because we have ours like on other like like our VHS, like and like our home video, like
but
movies,
not on the World Wide Web.
But the World Wide Web,
private.
like having your formative years be tracked has to be an interesting thing. Do you remember wanting to erase it, or was it just kind of funny?
I did.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. At some point, I hit a point where I went through my Facebook, and I'm actually sad that I did this. I deleted all of my old photos. Because they were like middle school and it was cringy, embarrassing at the time. But I wish I had those photos. I also in middle school I was really into content creating on like YouTube and stuff. And at that time we don't we didn't really understand like what the footprint would be looking like later. But I think we were able to scrub ourselves pretty good.
Which is also kind of sad, because I'm sure like the older you get, it feels like, wow, that actually was kind of how I documented. But at the same time, it's a weird way to document, because some people can keep their journals like hidden in a chest. Yours is like searchable, which is like this weird exposure of truth that like feels sad.
Pluto Sag, like exposure of truth, and it's like your format.
You're like, oh no, I really said that out loud.
I know. I stopped doing YouTube when someone I knew shared my YouTube with one of our teachers, and then our teacher started off every single one of his classes that day by showing people my YouTube videos, and I felt so exposed in that way.
Did he do it as like a proud thing? Or was he trying to embarrass you?
He got fired over some sketchy stuff.
So hard to say.
I'm gonna say it didn't feel good because the response was people making fun.
Kids are so mean, and you guys had access to everyone's thoughts.
And in a way, like it's sad it couldn't be seen as kind of this like historic kind of liberation of like, we're just throwing it all out there, but Pluto adds such a shadow, and it was the first group ever doing that. So it's not like there's a lot of, there's not anything to compare it to. So I'm sure it kind of sent its own shockwave. So much that has to be cleaned up when something is the first to be doing something. And you guys definitely pushed the borders of it.
That's really funny reflection too, that Pluto Scorpio is the last generation to have their stuff under lock and key because we would.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's good. That is a good reason.
Like, if you know, it's because I let you know, but it wasn't there originally.
Yeah, that is very funny. We had the last link of the secret life. And I will say, I would love to hear this for you too, because I perceive you as like a pretty like spiritual person. A lot of Sag to us is so wise and spiritual, and then I don't think you guys necessarily claim that, but it perceives very much that way. But I think a lot of your group also was raised on seeing content that like let you hear perspective, but also like you guys had the youngest group to have integrations of astrology and tarot and all these like tools for like communicating into like the spirit realm. And it was like that stuff takes other generations so much work to know how to tune into, and like it's like second nature for you guys. But then you also you still have like a beginner's mindset because you don't claim it. It's like that's what I've noticed with a lot of Pluto Sag. I'm like, girl, you're pulling cards every day and have this like really crazy tool, and then you're still like not understanding like the power of some of your own knowing.
The older generations, like you might know like one tarot reader, and you guys are like, yeah, I pulled my morning card and like lit a candle. But you're like, but I'm not like I don't know. At least from what we've talked to, like you all are like, no, but I'm not.
Yeah, you don't know how to claim it. And I would love to hear your take on that.
I mean, I don't, we just don't subscribe to one single thing. There's so much stuff out there. I think we're a lot more spiritual because of the information that we've had access to, different than previous generations, especially if you grew up religious. Lots of stuff that they don't tell you in church coming up in our own searches.
How much do you actually like claim your spirituality, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
And yet you have an astrologer account. You've shared more spiritual stuff than anybody.
I'm an astrologer. I talk a lot about the Bible at times. Got lots of spiritual thoughts running through my head all the time. But yeah, I don't claim it. I think what a lot of like this generation claims is moral foundations, I think, more than anything. I think that is what actually matters to us more than anything else, is to let people know that you believe in love or peace, joy, just kind of like staples.
Does it feel more like almost like a cultural awareness point to you guys than the fact that like you're actually embodying more than you like consciously think about?
Because it's not something you can claim technically. So I do see like that, like you guys are realizing like, it's very interesting to dabble into all beliefs, because there's that's not a claimable thing. But yet that is also takes people sometimes like 10 years of therapy, tons of work to get to as a concept that you guys naturally have. Like, and people have to do major work to release attachment to so many things that like it's unreal how you guys have your flow.
Especially people without a Sagittarius placement, because like when I listen, Jenn doesn't have a Sag placement. She's just Sag 4th house, and I can see it in her. But at the same time, like for me, like I'm very similar in a different font because it's not Pluto, but like I took world religion classes in college, and I call myself a cult hopper because I've been to like so many different churches. I've been baptized into 2 different religions I don't practice. Like I kind of do it in that Sagittarian for the bit, and then I have fun stories. But with all of that in my early developmental years helped me where I am now. But like it's my first house, and it's more my ascendant and my Jupiter. So I feel like I've embodied it a lot more. And then I talk to all you guys, and you're all just magical little wizards, and you don't even know.
I'm like,
I wonder if like the not claiming this as a part of our, I guess, identity is because our own generation does put so much meaning on things, especially like in a general sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is like, okay, if you subscribe to this, you are this person as a whole, you know, it kind of puts all of these other
Then you feel
labels.
trapped.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is. Exactly.
Then you start sweating, you're panicking, you gotta run. Like,
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
yeah. And I do think I can see, like, as just someone who has witnessed you guys, like, I do think it's so important that you guys do realize how huge it is the way you operate, though. Like, there is such a power in not getting stuck, that like that is most people's main lifetime of work. So like it's just wild, because I think you guys have an anxiety of figuring it out, but like most people spend their whole lifetime trying to unfigure it out to feel what you guys feel. And that feeling is not like given the credit that I think it sometimes deserves, which is where I think Pluto is like destructive to you guys, because it's going to be an itch that won't be able to be scratched. Pluto doesn't get like solace, it holds tension, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's something that you guys won't ever like find, that you're going to have to just like understand its sacredness. But it's wild, because so that's why Christianity, I mean, I grew up with the religion trauma too, you know, like that's why Christianity, I think, felt so good to people, because they got to stop thinking and they were like, whew, I don't have to pay attention on one thing anymore, because like this is all
they're gonna tell me.
This is all an illusion. I'm not involved in any of this. I just gotta look up. And then they just got to like kind of check out of everything and stop their growth. And like, you know, and that's speaking very generalized, but it's a huge chunk, because I think it brought them a security that got them to not sit in the feeling of angst that comes with not knowing. You guys sit in that feeling 24/7, but don't even realize its power. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I do hope you guys will see it.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. I'm really curious. So you start the trend of anyone we interview after your generation, you haven't done your Saturn return yet. Like most of you are just getting to that. So like you guys haven't had these major planetary, because we're talking to people who have done their Uranus return. Some of them are like a Pluto opposition. So like they've lived through some really hard hitting transits. So I would love to like revisit this series like halfway through, or even a quarter of the way through, when some of y'all have started having more of these like transformational transits outside of Pluto, to see like, is that why you guys are so missing your embodiment?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like me pre-Saturn versus now, like I think I would have sat more on your side of the fence for some of what you're saying. But now that Daddy Saturn has properly destroyed me and rebuilt me and the way I should have been, like I feel the embodiment way more than I did 2.5 years ago. So I'm just curious for your generation where that lands later on in life.
Yeah, I'm curious too. I feel like there's going to be a lot of memes.
Yeah. You guys, like, oh my gosh, it's been so funny to watch the world burn, and then like seeing like a remix, like a video of like, I just am like, I hold my, like, I have to like cover my mouth and close my eyes when I see some of these things. And I'm just like, that is so fucking funny. You guys, like, that is so funny.
We had the Pluto generation, all the stuff you uncovered on the table to begin with. So like we were born into this world knowing what we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Dumpster fire.
I think we're all traumatized.
You guys really with the memes are just, it gets me, it keeps me going.
Yeah, there's been so much humor. And I honestly think, obviously a shadow to deflect with humor and not get to the feeling of it. But at this point in the collapsing of society,
The
like
world's burning. You might as well laugh.
Like,
if you're not laughing,
we
you're
gotta
crying.
have some jokes. Like that's how every great revolution survived, was the humor. And you guys keep it afloat. And it's it is, the irony is so appreciated, at least like from our end.
Yeah.
I'm like,
thanks for carrying the weight of morale.
yeah.
We're having, so we've talked about this a little bit, and I'd love to just your little astrology brain as an astrologer as well. I'd love your perspective. Like we've talked about how like we're just entering our Pluto square, and of course now it's like slowing down for us. So you guys are actually getting like a bonus 15 years before you hit your square. Unfair, but it's also, I feel like, so Sagittarian that you guys get more information than anyone has since Pluto Cancer before you have to actually defeat the transit itself, which is wild in itself. I would like to hear your thoughts on it. Yeah, sorry, I know it was a big thinker. You can totally take your time.
I'll give you like one interesting,
just for a study.
oh yeah, one interesting piece. So what we've come to learn, and this could be even like separate from your interview, but just for like pattern recognizing sake, what has been so wild going through this Pluto series is what Pluto Sag should really focus on is studying up on Pluto Virgo's like lived experience, because you were their square. And that is really wild to hear. We're around a lot of Pluto Virgo. Like we're having really big conversations with a lot of Pluto Virgo at this time. And like you guys are definitely playing off of a similar undertone, being like the mutable Pluto and like having that square energy to each other. So much happened for them as you guys were, you know, born into this reality that like shifted and was directly tied into them. And so, yeah, you'll have to definitely check out the Pluto Virgo video and like think of it in that way. But you guys will then gear up to what will be Pluto Pisces. That'll be your square as it starts coming in. And there is a generational link in like themes of history with your fellow like modality Pluto. And what Pluto Scorpio is going through right now is like Pluto went really fast. Like it went through Virgo really quick for Pluto. It went through Libra really quick for Pluto. It went through Scorpio like pretty relatively fast. And then like we had these quicker transits, and now Pluto in Aquarius is
like 28 years,
a full Pluto cycle finally. But the funny part is that is our Pluto square. So everything that happened in Pluto Scorpio that has been brutal, we get this slow squaring energy for 30 years. And like every single thing that got started in the karma of Pluto Leo, which like we feel so, we hear Pluto Leo in a way we cannot hear Pluto Virgo. Like Pluto Leo, we are all in the same boat and you can just really feel it. And we are playing off of an alchemy that if you look at Pluto Leos, what they did as a humanity, because they're all in their 80s, I mean, it's directly tied to us and what is happening right now.
That's what I was thinking was you guys dove deep into their structures.
Yeah.
The ones that they built.
Yeah. And now
I'm wondering what Pluto Aquarius is going to come out and do. With
like
that.
It's wild.
Yeah. My square is Virgo, and those are my parents. So we're in close connection with each other. Oh, we bounce a lot of ideas off each other.
Yeah.
But
to gear up for what will be their Pluto opposition, which will be Pisces. So like they did start a lot of really big spiritual movements and work that you guys are now like kind of finding.
You didn't have to learn it, you get to expand upon it.
And figure out how to filtrate it some, because I do think Virgo gets, you know, they have a lot more trouble knowing how to filtrate the right way. And I think you guys can help with that. Like, I watched the Pluto Sag like crew really hear the Pluto Virgo group talking, and I think they really do unpack like a ton of stuff together when we witness the conversation.
Yeah. Well, and Virgo's, you know, shadow is perfection, and you can really feel it in them. It's like they know there's a right thing to do, and they just want to make sure that they did it right.
And you guys don't play like that. So
well, we're like, what is right?
Exactly.
What is right? Really?
Do you feel like in the dynamic with your parents that you have been able to find angles to make them very receptive to what you've learned, or does it feel like
yeah. I think
cool.
we I mean, never would have guessed it, but yeah, we play very well together. My mom's own religious stances have changed alongside my own.
Yeah.
And it's kind of we're kind of just like growing together in a way, learning new things. But yeah, she especially is very, very open to, she's also an Aquarius.
Yeah.
But probably the biggest thing that we clash on is I like to overgeneralize and she loves nuance. She doesn't,
That makes sense.
And seriously, do you have siblings?
A lot.
Or do you have any Pluto Scorpio versus Sag siblings?
Okay.
Yeah. So my older brother, he's a Pluto Scorpio. He definitely embodies that.
My Pluto Sag brother, I send to talk to my Pluto Virgo parents. And this is something I just put together as we've been doing the Pluto generation series, because I've always had a little bit of resentment, honestly, prior to this revelation. But they listen to him so much better. Like they understand him say the same thing I just said. And I'm like, why? And it's because I'm speaking in a very fixed way. And I think they need your guys'.
And we sound dark as hell. Like, and I just think it just like rubs the energy wrong.
Down.
But we're not.
They like completely shut down. But then like you guys speak and they're like,
oh. Yeah, if you put it lighter like that, I actually hear that. Yeah. We're like, the world is burning.
We're all dying.
You're like, I don't want to get that energy. That feels like too much.
I can relate to that. I play mediator a lot between.
Sorry, we're really sorry. At the end of the day, it's just you guys hit better.
Yeah. It shows the interlinks of karmic play, you know, like it's fascinating.
Right. That's cool.
I think a lot of our Pluto Scorpio crew too had a mix of Pluto Libra and Virgo parents because of how fast. We didn't have like a consistent, it's pretty scattered. We were like right on the split for a lot of our parents. V has one parent of each.
Yeah, I'm really curious. So my mom had 3 kids and they're all in different generations.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious because my sister's Pluto Capricorn. And I'm really, oh my God, that actually makes so much sense. Here's yet another revelation. The way my mother is a completely different mother with that child versus the first 2, like used to trigger the hell out of me. But now I'm like, as she's growing up, like she says things that like neither of me or my brother could get away with to my mom. And I can hear her like process different. And it's probably because she's Pluto Capricorn. So she has that squared together.
Yeah.
And then I really, truly am just a free floating weirdo of my family. I got no connection.
Pluto Leo loves you.
Pluto Leo. Yeah. My grandparents eat me up, both of them.
We were both way closer to a grandparent who understood our heaviness and then did something fun with it to like make it better.
I used to ask my Nana if I could be her child because we were like, they just understood me in a way.
Same.
It's so crazy.
Okay. Yeah, I have siblings from the Libra Pluto generation, Scorpio, and Sagittarius.
Wow.
It is interesting to think about. All of my Libra Pluto siblings, their own kids are Capricorn Pluto, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, other generations were not like this because Pluto didn't move. Pluto did a weird thing for us. Like it ramped itself up. We've never had this much Pluto energy on the planet at one time. So like it's fascinating to study its transits because I mean the world is doing so many things, and then to know that we have Plutonian energy in like a whole deeper way than normal is just a good food for thought in itself.
It also kind of explains a lot of our there's a lot of different tension points in divide, and I think like our two generations, there's a good chunk of us, I know not a full generalization, but a lot of us understand like that discourse is kind of just stupid. Like that's where like the Sagittarius also comes in, where it's like that's just nuance, like you're missing the main point. But maybe that's part of it too, is because we all there's so many different generations trying to do so many different things. There's a lack of unity where there used to only be like 2, maybe 3
Pluto generation chunks at a time.
Yeah.
We
pass along all of our information so you can be properly prepared and knowledgeable for Pisces, because you guys are really going to need it, because Pisces, like after
we're probably on an alien planet at that point, or at least another
like after Pisces, Saturn and Neptune like being out of there, like I cannot imagine Pisces. I don't want to imagine Pisces Pluto, and I know that might be the Scorpio, but I don't want to.
It's hard to imagine what that might look like. Do either of you know what that looked like in history?
I don't think
we haven't scratched that.
We went real deep into Pluto Aquarius, which it's been pretty bleak, but it's never had this link to the Scorpio in the same way. So, I mean, we obviously are feeling that. It's just wild to study in history.
The world's burning. It is that deep. And then Sagittarius Pluto is like, yeah, it is. Yeah. But
it's kind of funny, right?
YOLO.
Yeah. These like ice agent like mixes are just like really taking me out. Screaming Kiss to them really took me out.
Yeah,
like
honestly, when we were just in Portland and they were having like tea parties, watching them walk
and live poetry. Like I like the
beautiful.
Get them with the irony. And that is great.
I also like Pluto Sag is like, we like Sagittarius in general loves the truth of it. So like even all of those things, like you guys are just like showing the humor and like, LOL, it's actually the complete opposite. Oh, we're so scary having a tea party. Like it's more out here, frogs dancing.
Yeah. It's like meeting it with absurdity. I also like loved that, like, you know, Portland has like pretty young Sagittarius energy, like pretty dominant, and like you can only make the news and the edits and the story so bleak when you have everyone in like blow up costumes of animals like in their face. Like it kind of destroys your story arc just from irony when you're doing obviously heavy stuff, but you're messing it up their intensity by adding like blow up like stuffed animals.
I'm honestly jealous of Pluto Aquarius's history classes. Because like you guys are giving them good like things to like we were like 1776, some fucking musty ass man in the same blue jacket as everybody else did something, and they get like frog rebellion.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, any other thoughts that come to your brain that you want to share that with all of the pondering concepts?
So many pondering concepts. My brain can't even hold it all. It's trying to compartmentalize it. I was thinking a lot about your point about college interrupted.
Yeah.
I only went to college. I was attending college while I was in high school, but out of high school, I only attended a semester.
Before COVID,
it just felt like by the time all of us got to like college age, there wasn't like the same things weren't really promised to us.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things is like there's a system there that obviously is not working. I don't know why anyone else isn't noticing that it's not working. Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
And nothing really came in to bridge that gap, right? I mean, you guys had college interrupted. It changed a lot of the workforce because of all of the like layers, and then nothing really came in to reprimand that for you guys and add like another layer of support, and then yet people are saying like no one wants to work.
Not like working doesn't work the way it worked when you did it.
It's a big missing gap though. Like we just went through a pandemic that blocked that entire group from being able to branch into adulthood normally. And then you guys are trying to say something about it because it's throwing a wrench in your structure and reality. Like, what are you not seeing? Like, why do you think it can just go back to normal without like, I mean, you guys should have had a lot of things gifted to you to help bridge the natural disaster that really happened that did throw you guys off course. And then it tried to proceed as normal and is now the side effects are now here. And I don't know where the missing piece is.
Here's the true like catalyst moment of our life is like Pluto Scorpio again was the last, like we see what's happening to you because we're feeling the effects too. We're dancing on the line. Like we are the last bit to like finish college before all of it happened. But like the job market is not what it used to be. So we understand what you guys are saying so deeply. I also understand what they're saying, but they're missing the nuance that the system worked for all of them. Like, shame on me for being in middle school in 2009 when the market crashed. Like, I should have had 3 houses. My bad. Like, you know? So, like, we feel you guys so heavy. But maybe that's also why they don't see it. And I think where, like, the larger systems at play are failing you guys is at this point in your lives, like, we were starting to see some Pluto Scorpio representation within the powers that be that govern the things to make things happen. And we're just now seeing some Pluto Sagittarius emerge into the scene, but it's honestly overfunded, or not overfunded, but it's like overflooded with Pluto Leo and Pluto Virgo, who are so far disconnected from where the rest of us are in reality.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
But it makes sense. We had a global pandemic that threw off the entire timeline for years. I just don't know how that's not factored in. And it also is crazy there's not been really any action to fix what was that time.
And it's still not working. Like, it's just, you're watching it, like, the Titanic is just sinking, and we're all like, hey, we're sinking. And the ones at the top of the boat are like, no, I think it's fine. There's no water up here.
Yeah, I think on top of that, because we are the generation in search of meaning, COVID definitely gave us some time to think. And a lot of us don't want to follow the cookie cutter path anymore. We want to actually do things that mean something to us or feel good. I see a lot of people doing art and music and all the things previous generations shied away from because it wasn't structured. It wasn't gonna bring in the dough. Stuff. But yeah, I don't see many people around my age that want to, I don't know, get into biology or become a doctor or a lawyer. And lawyer maybe. Sagittarius Pluto there might be more politicians from Sagittarius Pluto than there were Scorpio Pluto.
Yeah, I think so too. Because you guys saw the nuance of it. And now we do have to create something completely new because we've all been boxed out. The idea of like owning a house, like it's just like our crew has just gotten one hit after the next. So if it's not in your family line, it's not gonna happen at this point. So we are at like a complete restructure, and it has made me laugh. Like, Sagittarius is not going to have authority over them that is corrupt or gross or icky. Like, you would rather quit than like subscribe to something. So I just think it's funny, like all these restaurant chains that like just have the things that have just perpetuated abuse, and then all these people are so sad they don't have their normal brands and companies like being able to provide for them what they did because there's not like a workforce fueling them. But reroute your energy. It's gross. Like that, it just shouldn't keep existing. So I think it's great that everything's crashing in the way it is. Like,
and to your point of having more Sagittarius politicians or whatever that new government system ends up being, not to be too Pluto Scorpio about it, but like whatever that ends up being, like I don't think Pluto Scorpio needs to touch it because we're tainted by the old world too. I think it has to start with you all, because like you guys are also going to be, specifically Pluto Sagittarius, like more accurate historians than Pluto Aquarius is cooked, dude. Like they're not going to know the difference between AI and a real thought. And that's unfortunate for them. Pluto Capricorn, I don't know. They're like 7. But you all see the fall of the structure, but you also see the truth of the reality that like we see that, but because we're in that split, like we're in this constant battle of like, we can't let go like you guys have, because you just know it's a joke. Like, why am I going to struggle for money in a corporate job when I could struggle for money doing something that lights me up? And like, we do that, but then we also have like our like really soul sucking real jobs that we would love to let go of, but rent has to be paid.
Yeah, we have like a split between two.
But you guys, I think you deserve it, is what I'm trying to say. It's like Pluto Sagittarius deserves to help restructure the world, because I know you guys will do it in a more just and honest and like righteous way that like honors the land, honors that energy that you feel that most before Pluto Scorpio don't.
The sacredness. Yeah.
I trust you guys.
Same. And I fight people anytime they have something to say about my Pluto Sagittarius.
That's my children.
Who said we did like a Pluto party ritual at this lady's house, but we took all the Pluto Sages with the Pluto Scorpios because most of the group at the party were younger, and they were like, you guys were our babysitters and you were so cool. Like, we were like, whoa, like they're cool. Like, I was like, I'm glad we at least like came off like we brought something to the table for you guys.
It was also really funny because out of the group of Pluto Scorpio and Pluto Sag, all the Pluto Sag were like cozy on the couch and like looked like you guys were full of life, and all of the Pluto Scorpio were like laying on the floor
without even talking about it. We were just like not, and I was like, see, we are rotting corpses.
And apparently it just shows in the picture.
That's so funny. Yeah, growing up, we wanted to be like you guys.
Yeah. It means a lot. It's felt dark on the internal worlds.
You guys make all of the work. I just told my little brother this like a week ago. Like, you guys make all of the work that like seems so tedious and death cycle-y for us like worth it, because like, yeah, as long as you guys know that path exists, like we don't even have to perfect what we're doing, but as long as we can like pave the way for you guys to tunnel down at some point, like we know you got it.
Yeah. And it feels so good to see like the broken binaries and the fluidity and the like, the sustainability and like the more expression that's not boxed. Like all of that feels so good to see, because it feels like our fight is for something. Because the resistance that Scorpio has to feel is like just so bleak. Like the things that we have to see to do all of this is so gross. So like at least we can look back and see, okay, all right, at least someone behind us is like thriving and like, oh, they're smiling, or they're okay. Like we're gonna make it. Like, because it feels so heavy to like reveal and have to go down another research thing and then have to bring another thing up because, oh God, that's a problem too. Oh yeah, that guy did that. Now he
all the time. Like, why our like motto as a generation is like, why can nothing just be fucking simple? Like, why is it always like Jenn never has a piece of technology that's not dying, and then we have to like find the cord, and that's just like honestly how the entire everything you try to do feels like. It's like we're on 1% battery and we have to find the cord before everything dies.
Yeah.
But then we looked back at you guys. We looked back in the rear view, and you guys like still are like little, I mean, morbid rays of sunshine, but sunshine nonetheless. And we're like, okay, all right. Like I talk to Pluto Sag, and like especially as a queer couple, like when I look at Pluto Sagittarius, like fluidity and the way you guys you just are like I think some of you still had to come out because again, like having those religious structures and stuff, like it's not fully free for y'all, but there's also a level of like, you didn't have to do years of deep pondering. Like I was almost 25 before I came out because I didn't know, like it felt like such a like death. If I say this out loud, everything else doesn't exist the way it did. But then I look at Pluto Sag and you guys are so free, and maybe you haven't dove as deep into it because you haven't had to. You just got that.
Which is our get. We're like, that's so beautiful.
It feels so good to watch. Like, you know, the world might be burning, but you guys get the important parts. And that like matters to me and my brain because like everyone above you, whether they get it or not, like they're out the door first. Like that's how life goes. So as long as you guys get it, I know whatever happens is gonna at the end of the day be okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We love your crew. I'm thinking about what Capricorn Pluto is gonna look like as like young adults and stuff.
Yeah.
Are they already there?
No, we actually have a Pluto Capricorn interview. We interviewed my 9-year-old niece, and we asked her like what she feels of the world. And there's definitely like, so when I used to go play with her at like 5, she gave me like, we were essentially YouTube content creators. She'd be like, so you're telling everybody about this, and this is like what you're into. It was like a very elaborate, I was playing YouTube. And I was like, I mean, are we going to record this? Like, we don't want like wasted content. Like I had a very elaborate imagination about who my YouTube profile was, but it's us making the profile. So it's just like kind of funny because they just are viewing it as like, this is who you're playing, not like a life archetype. So they definitely are going to have some interesting like blurs because of how being raised like that was.
I am curious if there's going to be like, I guess a crash after the
I mean, they were kind of born into the crash, right?
Yeah, they were
like,
born into the crash.
It feels like it's in their cards.
I don't know if they're even gonna know. It started in 2008 to 2023, so they literally were born into the stock market crash. So like truly, like it came in on a crash. I just don't. I don't even think they're going to know that it was a crash.
Yeah,
though,
like
which will be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, Pluto Sagittarius is still very optimistic, even through chaos.
I don't think they're even going to know about things like as a normal. And my teacher friend who's a Pluto Sag, I mean, she said that to keep them engaged in school, like she doesn't even care what they're trying to get her to teach. It makes no sense. She can't even follow like the lesson plans they're trying to keep some structure on. She's like, these kids are not going to pay attention to one bit of that. So she like comes up with really dynamic iPad projects for them, and they like project it onto the screen and talk about it. And she's like, I've had to create an entire new system of education within my own classroom because they cannot pay attention to. They're on YouTube all day. You think they're going to listen to a sit down lecture about something like no fucking way.
About Abraham Lincoln? Yeah, absolutely not. Curious. Did you have smart boards in your classroom?
No.
Okay, so that's a me thing. You had a smart board though. You're in the cusp of it. Yeah.
That
I remember when was like a
that was a time where I was like, oh wow, technology's a little advanced now.
I guess it was high school because I remember it was specifically one of my algebra teachers had one, and I just remember like my Virgo efficiency brain was like, oh man, you don't have to clean that. Like amazing. I love a whiteboard too, but like the smart board was nice. But then I never imagined it to get to the point of like you're describing like iPad projection. Like that feels dystopian to me.
Yeah. And she said she makes them do it quick in real time. Like they get like 20 minutes to put together something and then flash it up on the screen.
That's
and like everyone pays attention and like gets it done. If she gives them really quick time frames and pressure, it works like a charm. So that she just said, I have to just come up with crazy projects 24/7 to keep them entertained.
So they do like pressure. My nephew Leo is Pluto Capricorn, but he also has like 6 Capricorn placements. And when I tell you this kid loves to play pretend, stress himself the fuck out. Like, and I just don't understand. And I'm like, Becky, we don't have to be like this. And
He
he's
is.
like, no, but I like it. Like, it bores him if it's not like, gotta get it done. Like, here's the structure. He pretends like 6 jobs. And I'm like, maybe just one career?
No, he went into a full, he's a Virgo moon too, and he went into a full cry, and he's like, I have to go to work, and he doesn't even have jobs. Like, he made up in his Virgo moon.
And he's gonna be late. He's gonna be late to work because he took too long to do his homeschool.
I didn't do my school. I don't have enough time to do school, and then I have to go to work at 5. And I only have 45 minutes. And I was like, you can call off, buddy. And he was like, no, I really have to go to work. And I was like, okay, how about this? Let's just go get done what we can right now for school. And then like, you'll just have extra work tomorrow and you're going to have to like focus. Got all of school done in 45 minutes. And like was done crying. He was over it. He was like, okay, cool. Awesome. No pressure, but pressure.
That's so funny. That's so funny. It reminds me of how I used to play. I'm a Capricorn.
Yeah, because you got your cat.
Yeah, you have it too.
But yeah, my favorite thing was to play pretend like Office. I had a stapler, hole puncher, and I would just take papers, pretend like I'm signing, staple.
Hilarious.
Assembly line, like paperwork.
I love it. And that was, that's a big part of your younger years too. You were living through it. Yeah, it's fascinating. I love the pattern. The other groups are so fascinated by all of this because there is a disconnect. I think we understand each other a lot more than the other groups. So I think you'll provide a lot of insight to our group watching this because they're fascinated.
Especially because from here, the Pluto generations are going to get a lot more just goofy. Like, they don't even have like full consciousness that they're human yet.
And we're going to start covering like history stuff too, a little more. So
that'll be fun. Can you tell people where they can find you and what you do?
Yeah, anything you want to share?
Find me.
Yeah, if they want to support you.
Okay, I'm Markee Reimers. I'm an astrologer. You can find me at 1909 readings on TikTok, Instagram.
Thanks for talking to us and giving us your brain.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you guys for checking out another episode of this Pluto series. We are definitely going to keep it coming as we go through all the signs, even if it's just through the lens of history. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Please like, comment, and just support these videos so we can keep getting this series out and keep making this work. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.